Hey, brain enthusiasts. Ever notice how, like, a rainy day can just, like, totally kill your workout motivation?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or, like, how, some people get all energized by exercise
Uh-huh.
and others just end up, like, totally wiped out?
Totally.
It's super interesting how our brains and bodies
Yeah,
respond so differently to the same thing.
it really is. And you know what's even more interesting?
What's that?
How, like, external factors, things like the weather,
Oh,
can
yeah.
play a huge role in how motivated we are to exercise.
Yeah, totally. And that's actually what we're diving into today
Nice.
on Brain Insights Duo. We're your go-to for all things behavioral and neuroscience.
Absolutely.
And we've got two really cool studies to unpack today that
Awesome.
explore those very questions.
I love it.
So before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future deep dives.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The first study we'll be looking at
Okay.
is it's a meta-analysis.
Cool.
So think of it like a super study
Right.
that combines data from a ton of other studies
Makes sense.
to give us a really clear picture of what's going on.
Yeah.
This particular one was published in Fatigue, Biomedicine, Health and Behavior.
Okay.
And they analyzed how just a single workout affects your energy and fatigue levels.
Fascinating stuff. And the second study we'll be looking at comes from the Journal of Sport and Health Science.
Nice.
And they took things out of the lab and into the real world.
We'll love that.
They wanted to see how things like rain, snow, or even scorching heat affect whether people choose to exercise outdoors, indoors, or just skip it altogether.
It's so relatable, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, who wants to go for a run when it's like pouring outside?
Exactly.
Okay, so both of these studies have some really interesting insights
They
that
do.
can help you better understand your own relationship with exercise.
Absolutely.
So let's start with that first study on exercise's impact on energy and fatigue.
Okay, let's do it.
The big takeaway here. A single workout, no matter what type, no matter how intense, almost always gives your energy levels a boost.
And not just a small boost either. We're talking a significant increase in energy across the board. It's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
But here's where things get a little more complicated.
Oh,
Fatigue.
okay.
It's not as straightforward as you might think.
How so?
Well, while it makes sense that a really intense workout would leave you feeling tired,
Right.
moderate exercise didn't consistently have that effect.
Interesting.
It's more nuanced than just exercise equals tired.
So what's the connection then between energy and fatigue? Is it like one goes up and the other goes down?
That's a great way to think about it, like a seesaw almost.
Right.
And that's kind of what the researchers found. They found that if a workout really boosts your energy, you're actually more likely to experience less fatigue afterwards.
So instead of thinking of it as a direct trade-off, more like a feedback loop, more energy can lead to less fatigue overall.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about working up a sweat. It's about finding that sweet spot where you
Yeah.
get an energy boost without totally draining yourself.
Totally. And you know what? The study actually found that the best way to hit that sweet spot is with a low to moderate intensity exercise for at least 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. Think brisk walking, a bike ride, even a yoga class, something that gets your heart rate up but doesn't leave you gasping for air.
That's awesome. Now, for all you listeners out there, think about your own experience. Do you find that certain types of exercise affect your energy and fatigue differently? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Brain Insights Duo for more brainy goodness.
Yes, we appreciate your support.
All right, now let's shift gears and talk about that second study on weather and exercise motivation. I think we can all relate to this one on some level.
Oh, absolutely.
Bad weather can be a total motivation killer.
For real. Like, how many times have you been tempted to skip a workout just because it's pouring rain or freezing outside?
Oh my gosh, all the time.
Right. And it turns out we're not alone. The study found that a significant number of people reported delaying or even skipping their workouts entirely because of bad weather.
So it's not just me. That makes me feel a little better.
Nope, not just you. What's fascinating, though, is that rain was actually a bigger deterrent than heat during the summer months.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and in the winter, ice and snow had a similar effect. It makes you wonder, what is it about bad weather that makes us want to just stay inside and skip our workouts?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know for me, there's just something about rain that makes me want to curl up on the couch with a good book.
I hear you. But what's really interesting is that it wasn't just the type of weather that played a role. The study also found some fascinating demographic trends.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They looked at how different groups of people responded to bad weather.
Exactly. For example, they found that non-white individuals and those with less education were more likely to skip outdoor exercise altogether when the weather wasn't great.
And older adults, those 65 and up, were more likely to opt for indoor exercise when the weather was bad.
Right. And that raises some really important questions. Do all communities have equal access to safe and affordable indoor exercise facilities?
That's a great point. And what about safety? For some people, exercising outdoors, especially in certain weather, might not feel safe or comfortable.
Exactly. It's a really complex issue. But one thing is clear. We need to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to stay active, regardless of the weather or their background.
Absolutely. And we'll dig into those implications more in the next segment. But first, we want to remind you to like and subscribe to Brain Insights Duo for more fascinating deep dives into the world of your brain. All right, so we've been talking about how weather can really influence those exercise habits.
Yeah.
But what about the type of exercise itself? Like, let's get back to that first study for a minute and dive a little deeper into the specifics of how different activities can actually impact our energy and fatigue levels.
You know, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
The researchers looked at a wide range of exercise types.
Oh, wow.
Everything from like aerobic activities like cycling and walking to things like Qigong and resistance training.
So it wasn't just like your typical gym workouts. They were really casting a wide net.
Exactly. And while all these different types of exercise generally led to a boost in energy, the way people experienced fatigue afterwards, it actually varied quite a bit.
Interesting. So tell me more about this variation. Like, what kind of patterns did they see in the data?
Well, they found that the intensity and duration of the exercise, like how hard you were working and for how long,
Makes sense.
combined with that energy boost we talked about earlier, they played a big role in how people experienced fatigue. So it wasn't just about what you were doing, but also how hard you were doing it and for how long.
So it sounds like finding that sweet spot is really key. And remind me again,
Yeah.
what was that magic formula they found?
So low to moderate intensity exercise for at least 20 minutes.
Okay, got it.
Activities like brisk walking, cycling, even dancing, things that get your heart rate up, but don't completely wipe you out.
Got it.
Those seem to be the most effective at combating fatigue. And that 20-minute mark, that seems to be key to really reaping those energy-boosting benefits.
Now, that's a takeaway our listeners can actually use, right?
Exactly.
But I'm curious, did this study find any differences in how people responded to different types of exercise? Like, would a 30-minute walk have the same effect as a 30-minute strength training session?
That's a great question. And while the study didn't directly compare the specific activities, they did notice some interesting trends. For example, even when vigorous exercise led to an energy boost, the reduction in fatigue wasn't always as consistent.
So even if you're feeling mentally energized after a tough workout, your body might still be feeling the physical strain.
Exactly. It just highlights the complexity of this whole relationship between exercise, energy, and fatigue. You know, it's not a one-size-fits-all equation.
And speaking of not one-size-fits-all,
Right.
the study also pointed out that individual factors,
Yes.
like your baseline energy and fatigue levels, can also play a role.
Absolutely. It's not just about the type or intensity of exercise. It's about where you're starting from.
So someone who's already feeling exhausted might actually benefit more from exercise in terms of reducing fatigue.
That's what the research suggests. It might seem a little counterintuitive,
Right.
but sometimes moving your body can actually help break you out of that fatigue cycle.
I love that. It's empowering to know we actually have some control over our energy levels.
It really is. And that's why we're so passionate about sharing these research insights with you. The more you understand about how your brain and body work, the better equipped you are to make choices that support your well-being. And speaking of supporting our work, if you're enjoying this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe to Brain Insights Duo
See you too.
for even more brain-boosting content.
Now, there was one other finding from that first study that I found really intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
It had to do with the type of control conditions used in the studies.
Yes. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay, so tell me more. What did they find?
Well, in some of the studies they analyzed, the control group just rested quietly,
Okay.
while in others they engaged in more, mentally stimulating activities like watching videos or attending lectures.
So some were more mentally stimulating than others. Did that actually make a difference in the results?
It did. The studies where the control group was engaging in those mentally stimulating activities,
Yeah.
they tended to show smaller reductions in fatigue after exercise.
That's fascinating. So it's possible that even passive activities like watching TV can have some impact on our fatigue levels.
It seems that way. It suggests that fatigue isn't just about physical exertion,
Right.
but also about cognitive engagement. It adds a whole new dimension to how we think about and manage fatigue.
I'm already thinking about how I can apply this to my own life. Maybe swapping out some screen time for a walk could have a bigger impact on my energy levels than I realized.
It could.
Okay, but before we get too carried away with our personal reflections,
Yeah.
we have a lot more to unpack from that second study
Right.
on weather and exercise motivation.
We were just starting to dig into those interesting demographic trends.
Yes. We talked about how non-white individuals and those with less education were more likely to skip outdoor exercise because of the weather. And older adults were more likely to opt for indoor activities.
Yeah.
But why is that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, the study didn't provide any definitive answers.
Okay.
But it does raise some really important points to consider. Well, for one, it highlights the potential role of access. Like, do all communities have equal access to safe and affordable indoor exercise facilities?
That's a great point.
And what about cultural factors? Could there be differences in attitudes towards exercise
Right.
or perceptions of what's considered appropriate exercise for different groups?
That's a really interesting point.
And we also can't overlook the role of safety, right? For some people, exercising outdoors, especially in certain weather conditions, it might just not feel safe or comfortable.
That's a crucial consideration, especially for older adults who are more vulnerable to falls or other weather-related injuries.
Exactly. It's a complex issue with a lot of layers, but what's clear is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to promoting physical activity.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about how exercise can impact our energy levels and fatigue,
Yeah.
the sneaky ways that weather can influence our motivation to exercise, and the importance of considering all these individual factors and barriers when it comes to getting active.
Absolutely.
But how do we put all of this knowledge into action? How can our listeners use these insights to actually create sustainable exercise habits that work for them?
That's a great question. And it's one we'll definitely explore in our final segment. But first, we want to remind you
To like and subscribe to Brain Insights Duo for more deep dives into the fascinating world of your brain.
Yes, please.
We love sharing all these brainy insights with you.
We do.
And your support really does help us keep the content coming.
Absolutely. All right, so let's bring it all home. We've explored so much today
Oh, yeah.
about exercise, energy, fatigue, and of course, how weather can totally mess with our plans.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about how we can actually use all this
Right.
to make some positive changes.
Okay, yeah. I'm ready to get practical. Give me those takeaways.
All right, so first and foremost, remember that exercise is a powerful energy booster.
It is.
Like, even a single workout
Yeah.
can significantly shift your energy levels. So next time you're feeling that afternoon slump coming on, resist the urge to just crash on the couch.
Oh, it's so tempting, though.
I know, right?
Hey.
But instead,
Yeah.
put on those sneakers, get moving. Even a short walk can make a world of difference.
Totally agree. Now, when it comes to fatigue, it's really about finding what works for you, right?
Exactly. Experiment with different types of exercise, different intensities,
Yeah.
to see what gives you that sweet spot, that energy boost without feeling completely drained.
And based on that first study we talked about, it sounds like low to moderate intensity exercise for at least 20 minutes is a good place to start for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Think brisk walking, cycling, swimming, dancing.
Oh, I love dancing.
Me too. Anything that gets your heart rate up but doesn't leave you feeling wiped out. And pay attention to how you feel,
Yeah,
both during and after your workout.
that's important.
If you're consistently feeling drained or sore, it might be time to adjust your routine.
It's all about listening to your body and finding what feels good.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about those pesky weather-related motivation slumps.
Ugh. Yes, the struggle is real.
It is. So if you find yourself constantly skipping workouts when the weather takes a turn for the worse, it's time to get proactive.
Okay, proactive in what way? What can our listeners do?
Find some indoor alternatives that you actually enjoy.
Yes.
There's no need to suffer through a workout you hate. Explore your options. Maybe it's joining a gym,
Yeah.
taking a dance class,
Ooh, fun.
investing in some home workout equipment, or even just finding some online fitness videos you can do in your living room.
There are so many options out there.
There really are. And remember, having that backup plan is key.
Yes, especially for those groups we talked about earlier, right?
Right, like those who maybe don't have easy access to outdoor exercise options.
Yeah,
Or maybe don't feel safe or comfortable exercising outdoors in certain conditions.
exactly.
It's about being mindful of the barriers that exist and finding those creative ways to overcome them. And remember, staying active doesn't always have to involve a structured workout.
It doesn't.
Nope.
So what else can we do?
Sometimes it's the little things that add up, you know? Taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking further away from your destination.
Oh, yeah.
Even just dancing around the house while you do your chores.
Love it.
It all counts.
It's about making movement a part of your everyday life,
Exactly.
regardless of the weather
Yes.
or your
I
circumstances.
couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, before we wrap up today, I have one final thought I want to leave our listeners with. We focused a lot on physical exercise today,
We did.
but those control conditions in that first study we talked about,
Huh?
they really got me thinking.
Oh.
About what?
Well, could some of those findings actually apply to mental fatigue as well?
Such a good question. And to be honest, there's not a ton of research out there.
That directly addresses this. But it's a really fascinating area to explore for sure. Like, could engaging in mentally stimulating activities like puzzles, reading, or learning a new skill,
Yeah.
could those things have an impact on how we experience mental fatigue?
And on the flip side, could too much screen time
Right.
or passive entertainment actually contribute to mental fatigue?
It's definitely something to think about. Maybe we need to start thinking about mental workouts
I love
the same way we think about those physical workouts.
mental workouts. Food for thought, everyone.
Uh.
Would love to hear your reflections on this.
Me too.
Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.
Yes. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Brain Insights Duo.
And don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating explorations into this amazing world of your brain.
Until next time, stay curious and keep those brains buzzing.
See you next time.